In a world where emotions are often hidden behind masks, there exists a man whose thoughts constantly return to one woman. Her image haunts him, her name surfaces in his mind like a melody he can't forget. He may try to conceal his feelings, perhaps even from himself, but his body, his gestures, and his inner energy tell a different story. He's emotionally captivated, but she might not notice it because she's been taught to seek confirmation of feelings in words and promises. However, true male attraction manifests in a silent code that few women manage to decipher. Carl Jung, the eminent psychologist, discovered that when a man is genuinely in love, his subconscious enters a state he can't control. This state manifests through involuntary signals that cannot be faked. Tragically, statistics show that 93% of women misinterpret these signs, mistaking sincere interest for a casual game, or ignoring a man who is deeply in love simply because they lack knowledge of the hidden language of male affection. Surely every woman is familiar with that vague, almost intuitive feeling when a man's words contradict his actions. He might talk about his interest, but his actions suggest otherwise. Or conversely, a man might not openly express his feelings, but an inner voice whispers about the existence of a deep connection. This isn't a coincidence or a figment of the imagination. It's the subconscious picking up on subtle signals that escape conscious perception. This isn't about seduction techniques or manipulative tricks. It's about deeper things, what happens in a man's mind when he meets a woman who evokes not only physical attraction, but also a connection that transcends the rational. There's a certain pattern, a kind of secret language, that manifests in a man's gestures, glances, silences, and attitude when he experiences strong emotional involvement. By learning to recognize these signals, a woman can unmistakably determine a man's true intentions. The problem is that many women look for confirmation of a man's feelings in the wrong places. They wait for grand declarations and impressive gestures, while the truth lies in the small details that reveal everything. As Jung argued, within every man lies the archetype of the lover, a powerful force that, when awakened, completely changes his behavior, often beyond his own understanding. This is something that cannot be imitated, an instinctive, primal reaction rooted in the depths of a man's nature. The revelations that follow have the potential to drastically change your perception of the men around you. They will allow you to realize truths that you may have already intuitively felt but haven't fully understood. Special attention should be paid, as these signals are subtle, yet undeniable. A man may try to hide his true feelings, to rationalize them, but his body and actions will invariably reveal the truth. The difference between a man who experiences only physical attraction and one who is emotionally involved is colossal. One disappears when faced with difficulties, the other, on the contrary, becomes even more supportive. One plunges you into a whirlwind of doubts and anxieties, the other gives you a sense of stability and security. One is interested only in the present moment, the other already sees you in his future. These differences manifest through certain behavioral patterns that Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung identified in his studies of the human psyche. We will discuss these behavioral patterns to forever rid you of the need to guess about a man's true feelings. We're talking about unique knowledge, unavailable to the general public and not covered in popular relationship psychology guides. This is the quintessence of a deep understanding of male psychology, revealed to a select few. Are you ready for revelations that can radically change your personal life? Before sharing the revelation that will forever change your understanding of men, a simple action is proposed. Leave a comment with the word perception. This gesture isn't just a formality, but a way to demonstrate a sincere interest in grasping the truth about male behavior. Writing this word activates the subconscious, preparing it to receive powerful information. It's a kind of key that unlocks the doors to deep understanding. This knowledge is too valuable to be taken in without prior preparation. The word perception is the first step on the path to unraveling the mysteries of the male mind that Carl Jung discovered after years of studying the human psyche. The author of these lines has prepared a fascinating revelation for the reader about the deep processes occurring in the male subconscious at the moment of the birth of true love. Prepare to rethink your usual notions of relationships between the sexes. The question arises as to why some women seemingly effortlessly evoke a strong attachment in men, while others are doomed to repeat superficial and short-lived romances. It is emphasized that the secret lies not in physical appearance, nor in conscious actions or words, but in a deeper ability to understand and respond to the subconscious signals that a man sends when his feelings become serious. In support of this idea, reference is made to the works of Carl Jung, who, after many years of studying the human psyche, concluded that male behavior is governed by forces beyond conscious control. Jung argued that there are universal patterns of behavior, which he called archetypes, primitive images inherited from humanity's collective past that determine our feelings, thoughts, and actions. Deep within the male consciousness lies one of the most influential archetypes, the lover archetype. Its awakening entails more than just interest or attraction. It is a deep, inexplicable connection rooted beyond logic. Like an ancient force lurking within his being, it takes over, radically changing his behavior, often unconsciously. The paradox is that the modern world teaches men from a young age to suppress their emotions. Society proclaims men don't cry. Be strong, don't show weakness, erecting a barrier between the inner world of feelings and their external expression. That is why many men, even when deeply in love, find it difficult to express their feelings in words. However, Carl Jung discovered a striking truth. The body never lies. While the conscious mind is capable of censoring and controlling speech, the subconscious manifests through nonverbal signals that are almost impossible to fake. This is the key to understanding, in the silent language of body and actions, which unfortunately only a few women know how to interpret correctly. Think of a male acquaintance whose intentions seem vague and contradictory. Perhaps he expresses interest and then suddenly disappears from sight for a few days, or perhaps he avoids talking about his feelings but is always there in difficult times. How can you tell which of them truly has a deep emotional attachment? It has long been known that words can be misleading, while actions always tell the truth. And there is a scientific explanation for this phenomenon, rooted in human biology and psychology. Modern research in neuroscience confirms Carl Jung's long-standing assumptions. When a man is sincerely in love, his brain experiences a unique surge of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. These chemicals directly influence his behavior, forming certain patterns that he cannot always consciously control. For example, dopamine plays a key role in the sensation of reward and pleasure. When a man is truly captivated by a woman, his brain begins to associate her presence with the production of this neurotransmitter, creating an almost narcotic need for her company. This is not a rational decision, but rather a chemical reaction that makes him seek her attention, even when other important matters require his time and effort. Oxytocin, often referred to as the attachment hormone, plays a key role in forming deep emotional bonds between people. This neurotransmitter is released during moments of intimacy, both physical and emotional, and creates a tangible biochemical connection. Under the influence of oxytocin, an instinctive desire awakens in a man to protect his chosen one, take care of her, and constantly be near her. Do not be surprised when a man who experiences sincere affection demonstrates protective behavior. It is his biology responding to a deep emotional connection. However, a logical question arises: how to recognize a man who is only attracted by physical intimacy and distinguish him from one who experiences genuine emotional attachment? How to separate those who only utter pleasant words from those who truly have deep feelings? In this context, it is worth recalling the concept of synchronicity, developed by Carl Jung. Synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence that seems interconnected but has no obvious cause and effect relationship. When a man is truly connected to a woman, amazing synchronicities begin to occur in their lives. He calls at the very moment she is thinking of him. They discover unexpected common interests and connections in the past. Their actions and thoughts naturally synchronize as if some invisible force is guiding them towards each other. Often, women tend to overlook subtle signals, concentrating their attention solely on flashy displays of affection. While women often expect grand declarations of love or ostentatious displays of affection in public, a man's true devotion is revealed in the subtle, everyday actions, almost imperceptible decisions, and glances that linger for a moment longer than usual. Imagine a scenario. During a casual conversation, you offhandedly mention a book you read years ago. Several weeks later, your partner unexpectedly brings up the same book in conversation. This isn't mere coincidence, but a clear indication that your words resonated deeply with him and that you hold a special place in his thoughts. The renowned psychologist Jung would call this phenomenon psychic presence, when the image of a person is constantly present in our thoughts, even when they are physically absent. The most common mistake many women make is confusing sexual attraction with deep emotional intimacy. Physical attraction arises instantly, based on chemistry and external appeal, while emotional connection forms gradually, step by step, manifesting in consistent patterns of behavior that often go unnoticed. It's in a man's nature to be attracted to several women at once, but when his heart is captured by one, a radical transformation occurs in his consciousness. The beloved becomes not just an object of physical desire, but an integral part of his being, his future plans, and his very essence. This profound transformation influences all his actions, even those that seem far removed from romantic relationships. The famous psychologist Carl Jung asserted that within the subconscious of every person resides an image of the ideal life partner, which he called the anima for men and the animus for women. When a man meets someone who corresponds to his anima, something incredible happens. He feels whole, as if he has found a missing piece of himself. This connection goes beyond simple physical attraction or shared interests. It's a true resonance of souls. Notably, this connection doesn't always need verbal expression to be genuine. Often men feel such a deep attachment that words seem powerless to convey its fullness. That's why they resort to actions, gestures, and body language that directly address their subconscious, expressing what cannot be spoken. One of the key questions that needs to be considered is the definition of specific actions that demonstrate sincere emotional involvement. How can one unmistakably recognize the signs of deep affection? What exactly distinguishes the behavior of a man consumed by all-encompassing love from a simple expression of feelings in words? In studies dedicated to the phenomenon of love and attraction, Carl Jung identified stable behavioral patterns, virtually independent of cultural and temporal boundaries. Since they are rooted in the collective unconscious of the masculine principle, these signs of genuine emotional involvement cannot be imitated as they originate from the depths of the human psyche. These signals are divided into three main categories, which will be discussed further. We're talking about patterns of behavior that indicate not just fleeting attraction or interest, but genuine emotional involvement capable of long-term development and deepening. It's noteworthy that many men act without being aware of these behavioral patterns. They are driven by internal forces that they themselves don't fully understand. It seems that something within them compels them to act in a certain way when they meet that special woman who activates the archetype of the lover dormant in the depths of their subconscious. The time has come for the culmination of this insightful investigation. The irrefutable signs of sincere male love, based on Carl Jung's profound research in the field of the male subconscious, will now be presented. This isn't about ostentatious behavior that's easy to imitate, but about genuine manifestations of a deep connection. These are involuntary signals from the subconscious, revealing the true feelings hidden in the depths of the male mind. The first and most convincing sign is the eyes. As Jung established, the eyes are the mirror of the soul, and when a man is overwhelmed with true feelings, his gaze undergoes a radical change. It's not just a lustful look, although that may be present. It's a look of deep recognition, as if he sees not only the external shell, but the very essence of the woman. Modern scientific research confirms Jung's assumptions. When seeing a person with whom there is a deep connection, the pupils involuntarily dilate. This reflex, controlled by the autonomic nervous system, cannot be faked, making it a reliable indicator of true feelings. A man is free to utter any words, but true feelings are always reflected in his gaze. His eye contact becomes more prolonged, as if he seeks to capture every feature of the face, as if studying a treasure map. Even in a noisy crowd, his eyes tirelessly search for the object of his affection, like a compass unerringly determining the northern direction. The most eloquent moment is when he observes, unaware that his secret is revealed. A chance glance might catch him in a moment of sincere contemplation, when he thinks he remains unnoticed. He studies every interaction, every smile, every movement. There is nothing intrusive or awkward in this, only pure admiration, as if each action is a work of art worthy of close attention. The second important sign is how he organizes his time and personal space. Psychologist Carl Jung noted that an emotional connection with a person makes us subconsciously change our lives to include that person. A man experiencing genuine affection does this naturally, without realizing how eloquent this gesture is. The emergence of this tendency begins with the man deliberately making room in his life for his chosen one, guided not by a sense of duty, but by a sincere inner desire. He makes changes to his daily routine, revises planned activities, rearranges priorities, all to be there when she needs his support, or simply to spend more time together. He does not disappear without a trace for several days, does not evade answers citing excessive busyness, and does not cancel meetings at the last moment without good reason. Even more telling is how he manages his physical space. As Jung noted, people have a natural need to reduce physical distance with those to whom they feel deep affection. An emotionally interested man is drawn to his beloved's personal space as if by a magnet. During conversations in a group, his body involuntarily turns towards her, his feet point in her direction. He finds subtle ways to reduce the distance between them, doing so unobtrusively, as if an invisible force is drawing him to her. Pay attention to his reaction to accidental touches, be it a fleeting touch of the hand or a friendly hug. These moments can be quite revealing. Neurobiological studies show that in people connected by emotional intimacy, touch triggers a significantly greater release of oxytocin than contact with strangers. This involuntary chemical reaction manifests as subtle signs: dilated pupils, a slight blush, a change in breathing rhythm, or an increase in body temperature. These details, almost imperceptible at first glance, are capable of revealing true feelings that cannot be expressed in words. There is another, perhaps the most compelling sign: selective memory. As Jung noted, our subconscious constantly filters information, retaining only what is of particular importance to us. A man who has strong feelings for you has an amazing ability to remember details related to you, details that other people overlook or quickly forget. He remembers conversations that took place weeks ago, casual preferences that you mentioned in passing, and notices the slightest changes in your appearance, a new hairstyle or a different outfit. This is not information that he deliberately tries to remember. His brain records it automatically because you have become a priority in his information processing system. This is especially evident when he recalls details that you yourself seem to have long forgotten, be it a fleetingly mentioned dream, a candid admission of fear, or a fleeting childhood memory that suddenly surfaced in conversation. In such moments, it becomes obvious that his intentions are far from wanting to make an impression. Rather, this information is firmly entrenched in his mind, occupying a special place in the repositories of his memory. The fourth unmistakable signal is his willingness to be emotionally open. As Jung argued, genuine intimacy between people blossoms only when both abandon their protective masks and appear before each other as they truly are. Society from an early age instills in men the need to hide their feelings, to cultivate an image of strength and steadfastness. And when a man begins to share with you his innermost fears, cherished dreams, and painful failures, he commits an act that goes beyond the ordinary. He lowers the shield that protects him from the outside world. This vulnerability does not necessarily have to manifest in the form of bombastic emotional outbursts. It can be expressed in subtle moments, like when he shares his work anxieties, reveals a dream he's never trusted anyone else with, or allows you a glimpse into the part of his soul he usually keeps hidden. A man opening the doors to his soul is silently declaring, "I trust you enough to reveal the deepest corners of myself." The fifth, quite telling, sign of his affection is how seamlessly he weaves you into the fabric of his life. The great psychologist Jung noted that we tend to imbue those we are deeply attached to with parts of our own personality. An interested man seeks to share all facets of his existence with you, not just intimate moments. He proudly introduces you to his closest friends, warmly speaks of you to his family, invites you to important holidays, introduces you to family traditions, and involves you in gatherings with loved ones. He doesn't hide your existence from those he cares about. On the contrary, he speaks of you with genuine excitement, as if your presence in his life is a priceless gift he wants to share with the world. The sixth, equally significant indicator is his outlook on the future. Jung argued that our emotional connections profoundly influence our perception of time. An emotionally involved man involuntarily begins to imagine future scenarios in which you play a significant role. Even at the dawn of a romantic relationship, when feelings are just beginning to blossom, a man committed to a serious relationship may demonstrate his commitment through long-term planning, where his partner holds an important place. He casually talks about upcoming trips or events happening in a few months as if they're a given, as if their shared future is unwavering. There's no hint of pressure or imposition in these conversations. It's more of a natural inclusion, as if the thought of a separate future simply doesn't occur to him. This is especially telling when he shares his life plans, ambitions, and dreams, and it becomes clear that he already envisions his chosen one as part of this picture. He might casually mention what the ideal home for them both would be, or express a desire to one day show her the places where he grew up. These aren't empty promises or manipulation attempts, but sincere hints that he already perceives her as an integral part of his life's journey. The seventh sign, which Jung considered one of the most powerful, is the instinct to protect. This isn't about controlling or possessing, but about genuine concern for the physical and emotional well-being of his chosen one. This behavior is deeply rooted in the male subconscious and sometimes manifests in surprisingly subtle but telling ways. When fate throws difficulties their way, he shows genuine care, offering a helping hand not for praise or personal gain, but out of sincere sympathy for another's pain. He keenly picks up on the slightest mood swings, noticing signs of distress even before they are voiced. His actions are dictated not by a sense of duty, but by a sincere desire to alleviate the suffering of a loved one whose well-being becomes an integral part of his value system. Carl Jung explained such protective behavior as a manifestation of the so-called guardian complex, a psychic structure that is activated upon meeting someone perceived as valuable and irreplaceable. This isn't a conscious decision, but an automatic reaction of the subconscious, when a man recognizes in a woman the one that awakens in him a deep instinct of care and protection. The eighth, and perhaps the most convincing sign, is consistency over time. Jung noted that almost any behavior can be imitated for a short period, but a person's true essence inevitably manifests itself over the long haul. A man can feign interest, attention, and care for weeks or even months, but in the absence of a genuine emotional connection, this mask will sooner or later be dropped. A truly loving man, deeply involved in a relationship, exemplifies consistency in demonstrating energy, interest, and attention to his partner. His behavior lacks the wave-like pattern characteristic of relationships devoid of depth, where periods of active closeness are followed by sudden withdrawals for no apparent reason. He is distinguished by stability, reliability, and predictability, stemming not from monotony, but from the sincerity of his nature. Understanding these signs, revealed in Carl Jung's research, is of great importance for understanding the essence of relationships. This knowledge can fundamentally change the approach to building a personal life, making decisions, and interpreting the actions of men. If a man consistently demonstrates the aforementioned signs, it indicates an exceptional rarity. Many people live their lives without ever experiencing such a profound connection. This involves a relationship that transcends physical attraction or superficial compatibility, a resonance at the soul level, which Jung referred to as an encounter of unconscious minds. Conversely, if a person in the relationship does not exhibit these signs or does so only sporadically, it is a cause for serious reflection. This is not about immediate separation, but about recognizing the fundamental difference between a fleeting infatuation and genuine emotional intimacy. Unfortunately, many women waste years hoping that a man who only feels superficial affection will eventually develop a deeper attachment. As Jung stated, true love does not tolerate self-violence. It arises spontaneously as a result of real, profound compatibility. The question naturally arises, what if a partner only demonstrates some of the signs? Jung believed that true love is all-encompassing and reflected in all aspects of behavior. However, each person is unique in expressing their feelings. The key factors are consistency over time and sincerity of expression. One genuine gesture can outweigh 1,000 empty promises or contrived actions. Looking back at the years, it is easy to see how often people have ignored their inner voice, which unerringly points to a man's true feelings, succumbing to the charm of skillfully chosen words. How often have promises not backed up by real actions led to a dead end, generating futile hopes? The knowledge offered here is designed to forever rid you of the deception hidden behind beautiful phrases and dispel illusions about the possible awakening of emotional involvement. The truth revealed by Carl Jung and offered to the reader's attention is this: a man consumed by true love does not need to be begged for presence, convinced of reliability, or forced to show care. He acts naturally, driven by powerful unconscious impulses that surpass the power of rational will. If you have to beg for attention, set strict rules, issue ultimatums, or constantly doubt the sincerity of his feelings, this is an unmistakable sign of a lack of deep emotional connection. However, possessing this knowledge also entails a certain responsibility. Upon noticing these signs in a man's behavior, it is crucial to respond with authenticity. Jung argued that true relationships are a complex dance of two souls, fully opening up to each other. If a man shows genuine vulnerability, openness, and devotion, but the partner erects emotional barriers due to fear or past negative experiences, this precious connection can be irretrievably lost. Liberation comes with the ability to read the signs of true feelings, allowing you to confidently understand a man's intentions. There is no longer a need to guess his feelings, relying only on words. Confidence develops in distinguishing between sincere love and superficial interest. This understanding excludes manipulation in relationships. When a man's sincere involvement is evident, there is no need to test feelings or provoke jealousy. You can remain yourself, knowing that the connection is real and no tricks are needed to maintain it. This knowledge protects the heart, allowing you to avoid disappointment and heartache by recognizing the signs of a lack of potential for deep relationships. How much time and energy is wasted on dead-end connections? Jung believed that a genuine connection transforms life, promoting personal growth, spiritual evolution, and the realization of potential. When a man demonstrates certain signs, he offers not just love but an opportunity for mutual self-discovery and transformation.